Hello, and good evening or time appropriate greetings for wherever you are in the world. And welcome to this last reading stream that we have on Not the End of the World, but of Hannah Ritchie's book. Today we're going to discuss the uh, conclusion, which is just 7 pages in the book, at least in my version of it. So let's quickly delve into it. And today, Windrammer has joined us as well. Again, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. So let's dive in. Do you have any? Did you have many notes on this part of the book?
Yeah, mostly on the first page and a few on this third page.
Okay. Then, well, start off. Where is your first note?
The first one is on focusing on clean public transports. I just wanted to mention about electric trains powered by nuclear plants like in France.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second is on poor countries can skip straight to the good stuff without burning fossil fuels along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminded me of my idea of poor countries getting cheap finance to build this infrastructure. And there's also the price of renewable energy has plummeted At this and the same goes for batteries and electric vehicles. And on that, I wanted to mention that nuclear is cheap too in India.
Mm.
They are building plants as cheap as coal plants. Really, the high price of nuclear in the Western countries is self-imposed. And I wanted to mention, for example, red tape, political instability towards nuclear energy, you financing and lost experience from not building nuclear plants continuously, unlike the Indians.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Um,
And there's also global deforestation peaked in the 80s, and just a quick mention of the 17 million trees cut in Scotland for wind turbines.
yeah, 17 million. Yeah, since the year 2000. There was a little outcry over that recently. So 17
Yeah,
million
and
were cut for wind turbines to make room for wind turbines. Sorry.
yeah, and that's all I had for the first page.
Okay, maybe your pages are a little bigger than mine. um, Let me just share my screen for you, so that's perhaps helpful. Da, da, da. So, okay. Yeah, so my first bit is our ancestors were never sustainable because they never achieved the first half of the sustainability definition. So, because they were never, because they never they never achieved the first half. And I was thinking, well, they also didn't achieve the second half. So not only were they not covering their own needs, but also they were hunting many species into extinction. That's something we learned in the chapter on biodiversity, that many species of megafauna went into extinction because of us over the last many millennia. um, so, and the other thing is that we never actually lived in harmony with nature. We died in harmony with nature. I thought that was a very fine expression that needs repeating. You can't emphasize it enough, I feel. Um, yeah, so the first bit of the conclusion is just a rephrasing of what was discussed in the first few, in the chapters, of course, the first eight. And so air pollution gets a mention, so kills many millions a year. I believe the current number is about 8 million or so by, what was the research again? Some university in America. Uh, but yeah, the number fluctuates a bit from university to university and from research to research. But this one, it is between at least a million and sometimes up to 10 million a year. It's a huge number anyway. Um, yeah, leapfrogging. Yeah, that's something that we see a lot with developing countries. So they can jump ahead with to existing technologies. Still, though, I don't think you can develop an industry based on solar and wind. So you need nuclear for that. Um, yeah, we won't. Oh yeah, right. So we won't solve climate change, stop deforestation, or protect the biodiversity without changes on how we eat. It's actually quite important because just a little below that, technologies are changing the way that we make food. That's a big one because in the next few decades, and that's something she repeats as well, is that we'll stop using half of the planet to make that to grow our food or raise it um, to essentially make our meat because we won't be using probably animal meat anymore. We'll be using artificial meat, for example, via precision fermentation or other techniques. Um, just a little below that. So, oh yeah, right. So, rich countries, she says, have a responsibility as manufacturers and trade partners to help other countries make landfills and recycling centers a priority. So, I was thinking, is it something that we can actually work on ourselves in the sense of starting a GoFundMe, for example, that we raise a few million or I don't know how much such a facility costs, and we just build one in India or whatever, or Africa or wherever the pollution is most. I believe it was Asia, and just build them. Just get right to the chase and just uh, build them and thereby cut down on plastic pollution into the oceans by a factor that actually matters. She does mention effective altruism a little further on, so effective donations. Perhaps this could be a version of that. What do you think?
Um, Sorry, what was the facility that you wanted to build?
So what she's saying is that the problem with plastic pollution is that the low and mid income countries don't have them because they cost money. So what I was thinking, instead of waiting for rich governments of rich countries to help developing countries, that we start a GoFundMe or something similar as a population of the West, and just raise the money and have them built in places like India, etc.
Well, the landfills are probably cheap. It's just a plot of land. But the thing is the maintenance and the trucks that need to go around collecting all the trash. So yeah, like the initial investment is probably not that high as the the operating cost.
Yeah,
Or that would
what
be my guess.
whatever is the most practical solution, I suppose that gets done first. But yeah, I do think that this idea has some merit, but not sure if I'm the person to organize it. um, let's have a look. Right, so the final problem was overfishing, so that's something we also discuss, of course. It's almost inevitable in seas with many fishermen and no way to monitor the health of fish population below the surface. Yes, we discussed that recently. And yeah, right. So what connects all those problems that we've discussed over the last few weeks is interesting. And one of the ideas that lives that gets repeated often is that capitalism is the inherent cause. So she says, we believe they've been created in the last few decades through the exploding population and greed. So, the population bomb is one meme that we've heard a lot of repeating, and the other one is capitalism is the cause. And I'm not sure about either, and Caesar's not as well, right? Because these um, impacts on the environment have gone back a very long time. So hundreds of thousands of years, she says. And I think she's right. So even under socialism, how should we have that? We would have seen a lot of impact on the environment. So I'm thinking about. I'm not a huge fan of the Soviet Union system of socialism, but for the sake of discussion, let's say that was socialism. Um, it had a lot of very silly ideas about the environment. So one example was the Aral Sea. So it's a huge in landlocked sea in Central Asia that was fed with several rivers. And what the Soviets did was essentially divert the fresh water of those rivers to start industry around, I believe it was cotton, so um, plants, plantages, now, growing cotton anyway, and which takes a lot of water. Um, and that industry essentially started to kill off the Aral Sea. So the Aral Sea, I'm not sure if it still officially exists or no longer, but yeah, that's one of those examples of a big environmental disaster, I would say. And there are many more of those examples. So yeah, it's not necessarily the case that because capitalism exists, that's the reason that we fuck over the planet. It's not as simple as that. I think.
Yeah, I will argue that regardless of the economic system, it's hard to skip ahead the initial environmental damage of industrializing unless you get billions and billions in loans to just build modern infrastructure without the initial not so clean infrastructure.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Um. So then we get to the part of the book that she mentions three things to bear in mind. Well, the first thing is that being an effective environmentalist might make you feel like a bad one because, well, several things, but the natural fallacy is the one, the connecting factor, I guess. So, thinking something has least impact doesn't mean it has least impact. For example, the plastic wrapping around vegetables feels like it is wrong, but actually it's not, because it prevents a lot of food spoilage, and there are many other things like that. So yeah. Uh, Yeah, so what she says about that, if we what we need to do is at odds with what feels right, then what feels right is the problem. So that means that the societal image of sustainability needs to change. So lab-grown meat, dense cities, and nuclear energy need a rebrand. Um, yeah, I guess that's quite correct. So nuclear energy
Yeah, that
is, yeah.
yeah, that's such a great quote. I also I also had a note on that.
What note did you have?
Oh, just that that's pretty much what we need to do to fix climate change. That's pretty much it.
Hmm.
Like a little bit of agriculture change and cities and nuclear energy, and that's pretty much it. Like that's not everything, but that's like 80, 90% of it.
Right. Yeah. It's also I just heard a podcast from what who was the guy again? It was so the let me just find it. So World Nuclear News .org is a website for nuclear news, obviously, and they also have a monthly podcast. And this month they had an interview with Jean-Baptiste Frezeau, who made the argument that um, there's no such thing really as an energy transition. I've heard the argument before, so he's not the first making this point. But so because coal got introduced, we didn't really stop using wood. Because oil started to get used, we didn't really stop using coal, etc. So, what we are trying to do now, moving away from fossil fuels, is actually quite new in human history. We've never done that before. Just to stop using a complete several energy sources, and not just several energy sources, but also energy sources that are actually quite energy dense and very useful in a mobile sense, because it's actually you can carry it everywhere and use it for a lot of appliances, of course. And switching away from that is something we've never done before. So that's an argument that he's making that puts makes him pessimistic about the possibility of making this work.
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a quote saying that it's never been done until you do it.
Hmm. I think that was Mandela, but okay. Could you could be right? I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's see.
Maybe the quote from Arnold
Yeah.
was different because Yeah, I have a video.
Okay, I will look that up later. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, right. So the second point is an argument that I've been hearing a lot, especially from the left. So systemic change is the key. And what the left means, of course, is that we need to stop using, we need to stop with capitalism, and we need an economy of equity and equality. That's not quite the argument that Hannah Ritchie is making, but what she does say is that during the whole COVID experience, where everyone had to stay at home for a whole year, no, every plane was grounded, most economic activity was shut down, etc. All of that had a very limited impact in emissions. So they only fell by about 5% in global sense, which is of course extremely limited. So personal steps, even done in a drastic and mass manner, is not going to cut it. We need underlying change to make this happen, which she says is actually going to need large scale systemic and technological. So yeah. Um, Another thing that she mentioned is that personally, we can have and have to have political change. Um, so the example she mentions was Richard Nixon, which wasn't a very big environmentalist, but he had to be because his electorate was caring about these items, and because he wanted to be elected,
I
he had to care. So yes,
I
go.
have a note on that.
Hmm.
Yeah, she mentions the on Nixon that he passed the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act,
Hmm.
and he also started a project that it's not well known, Project Independence, which was planned to build 1,000 nuclear plants in the
Yeah,
US to move away from oil. But
yeah.
it
So
never,
kind of mesmer plan, but for the United States.
yeah. But then, you know, the whole scandal happened, and then Jimmy Carter became president, who banned reprocessing. So it was like the the complete opposite. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Watergate was the reason for that scuttling of the idea. Maybe it was simply not there yet. There were several factors at going on at the time for nuclear to be well shuttered. It's not as simple as saying, well, it's Watergate or the existence of the
I don't know.
NRC, which is another reason often touted. Yeah, go.
Yeah, oh no, I didn't mean to say that. Oh, because of Watergate, we don't have 1,000 reactors.
Yeah, yeah,
Just that after him, the president that followed him was the complete opposite
yeah.
on
True.
attitudes
Mm.
towards nuclear. Yeah.
All right. So another thing we can do is vote with our wallets, and that's a bit of a liberal team, I guess, that Hannah has. I'm not terribly convinced of that. I mean, there's a left version of this going on in regards to Israel. So the boycott, disinvestment, and sanction campaign, the BDS campaign, uh, which is a campaign essentially saying, well, don't buy Israeli products. I'm not terribly convinced this is very useful or effective, actually. Um,
Yeah, this is. This is never going to get us off fossil fuels. It can be helpful in another areas, like for example, right to repair.
Hmm.
It can help a little, but yeah, for energy transition, we need laws.
We need lots of deliberate investment, and that's probably going to need the state for that, which is more of a political decision than anything.
Yes,
Um, yeah, so and then we have the donate to effective causes. I guess that makes some difference. There has been some research on going on that effective causes. So there are some organizations, I believe she mentions them, GiveWell or similar organizations that monitor many effective causes or causes overall, and they make a ranking every month or so, I believe, on what is the most effective way to donate money. Um, and yeah, so if people are interested in donating that, look into that instead of the traditional ways of giving to uh, organizations like Greenpeace. Don't donate to Greenpeace. That's my advice. Defund Greenpeace because it's a very harmful organization.
yeah.
Mhm.
Even if we forget their anti-nuclear position, they're still their pro-coal position, and it gets shut down a nuclear plant. Like you remember that quote? It's what was it? It's painful but necessary to talking about keeping coal online in Germany.
Yeah, yeah. So when the German nuclear power plants were shuttered, Greenpeace went to the media and said, "Well, if it is necessary to burn coal, then it's necessary." Um, yeah, it's completely ridiculous. And recently, of course, Greenpeace hit the news with the lawsuit against the Philippines, where golden rice was banned on the market and um, effectively causing many people not to get vitamin A because they don't eat vegetables that have vitamin A. So these people, as young children, get blind or have more complications, maybe even die because of this lack of this micronutrient. Um, and all because of the argumentation that Greenpeace is making that genetically modified organisms are bad somehow, um, while every scientific research says that it is not.
And they have the audacity, Greenpeace has the audacity of saying that it's about not forcing people to eat GMOs when nobody is forcing anybody, it's them who's banning them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So don't donate to Greenpeace. um, there are many better causes to donate to. So the third thing Hannah was mentioning was stick with others pulling in the same direction. So as far as I'm concerned, most of us are on the same team, despite minor differences that we have. And there's this bit that I want to read in full. So imagine you are an arrow, and you're pushing in the direction of where you think we should be headed. Let's say you're really supportive of nuclear energy, which we are. um, Others around you are equally passionate about building low carbon energy infrastructure, but they hate nuclear and love renewables. Their arrow is pushing at a slightly different angle to you, maybe 10 degrees off to the left or the right, But the most important point is that you and the other arrow are pushing very much in the same direction. Both want low carbon energy as fast as possible. You are teammates, whether you see it or not. And I'm like, yes, that's right. I think we are both of the position that we want renewables and nuclear as much as possible. Just embrace all the solutions to get to to get to zero emissions. But what my experience at least is with many people that are pushing for only renewables and hating nuclear, is that they see nuclear as some kind of danger to their cause, and they just fight nuclear every turn of the way. While in actual fact, if we look at the amount of energy that we need as a species, or even in places like Western Europe, solar and wind are simply not going to cut it by many hundreds of terawatt hours. So yeah, we need nuclear. Had whatever way you look at it. So that's my position. If we don't, if you're fighting nuclear, you're fighting the wrong battle. I think.
Yeah, and if you're defending coal to shut down nuclear plants, then you're probably Greenpeace.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, already made that point. So yeah, we've pretty much hit the end of the book, the end of the chapter. But there is this nice overview where we see the state of the environment, and we see arrows pulling things to getting worse, and arrows pulling things to getting better. And nuclear fans, nuclear bros, are on the right side of history. Yay! And if you are attacking nuclear, then in my view, you're making things worse. um, yeah. So that's it. Hashi ends the book on a high note that we might be the first generation to become actually sustainable. The first generation ever in human history. So that's nice. That's an optimistic way to end the book, I think.
Yeah, it's a very nice book. There was a lot that I already knew, but also a lot of that I didn't knew, a lot of things that I learned, and it sparked my interest in a lot of other things, like for example, fishing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a very interesting book. I very much recommend it to anybody who's interested in environmentalism.
Yeah. Same. It's not that expensive, so if you want a nice overview of all the world's problems and what is the current state of affairs on it, then get this one. All right. Then, did you already have an idea on what to read next, or?
I'm not sure if I will be able to keep reading because there's a lot of things that I really should be doing, and reading the book in the week really takes a little bit of time.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're not in a hurry, of course, but yeah, if people watching this probably on YouTube um, are having any ideas or want to participate in a future reading of books, then do let me know. You can reach out by, well, replying to this video, or going to the Collective Vision account on either Twitter or on Mastodon, and just reach out to me that way. I think we can leave it there. Do you have any parting words?
Mm, let's see. Um, well, I guess I could repeat this quote from emissions first, peace and justice will.
Right. That's a very nice way to end it. All right, then thanks for joining in. And I see someone joining in the chat right now, right at the end. So welcome for the last few seconds. But yeah, this is going to be uploaded in a bit on YouTube. So watch the YouTube channel on Collective Vision. All right, have a nice one.
Bye.